What about, though, the one subject you've written so much about, the population explosion? You know, the fact that right now the population of the globe is over 4 billion. You've said that if
it's over 5 billion.
Over 5 billion, yes. You've said if it continues at its 2% growth rate a year, it'll be what in another?
Well, actually, it's down to 1.6%, but with a higher population, it's the same amount in actual numbers, 80 million a year. So that, by the year 2000, it's going to be perhaps 6.5 billion.
That's just 12 years from now.
Yes, yes, it's going up very fast.
How many people do you think the Earth is able to sustain?
I don't think it's able to sustain the 5 billion in the long run. So that, I mean, right now, most of the world is living under appalling conditions. And we can't possibly improve the conditions of everyone. We can't raise the entire world to the average standard of living in the United States, because I don't think we have the resources and the ability to distribute well enough for that. We have condemned, right now as it is, most of the world to a miserable starvation level of existence. And it'll just get worse as the population continues to go up.
What do you see happening to the idea of dignity, to the human species, if this population growth continues at its present rate?
It's going to destroy it all. I use the what I call my bathroom metaphor. If two people live in an apartment and there are 2 bathrooms, then both have what I might call freedom of the bathroom. Go to the bathroom anytime you want to and stay as long as you want to for whatever you need. And this, to my way, is ideal. And everyone believes in the freedom of the bathroom. It should be right there in the Constitution. But if you have 20 people in an apartment and 2 bathrooms, no matter how much every person believes in freedom of the bathroom, there is no such thing. You have to set up times for each person. You have to bang at the door, aren't you through yet, and so on. And in the same way, democracy cannot survive overpopulation. Human dignity cannot survive it. Convenience and decency cannot survive it. As you put more and more people onto the world, the value of life not only declines, but it disappears. It doesn't matter if someone dies. The population in the United States is still going up. The only time it went up really slowly was during the Great Depression, when there were no laws sort of lowering the birth rate. There was just an economic depression which made people think twice before they had children.
In other words, we can't exist as a stable economy and a stable society if around us is turmoil, chaos?
Absolutely not. Right now, in many nations, they're just destroying the rainforests because they need the firewood, they need the space for farms.
Why should I care about that?
Because without the rainforests, we're going to have deserts instead. The food supply will dwindle. As a matter of fact, there's even the possibility that we're going to lose all kinds of valuable substances we know nothing about. Those rainforests have an incredible number of species of plants and animals that we know very little about. Some of them may produce chemicals of great importance pharmacologically and medically. Some of the plants might, if properly cultivated, be new food sources. And in addition to that, nothing produces the oxygen of the atmosphere with the same intensity that a forest does. Anything that substitutes for it will be producing less oxygen. We're going to be destroying our atmosphere too.
Today, we are looking at a rather controversial topic, and that is overpopulation. As we all know, the world is turning to a global village, but that is in terms of technology. Physically, in terms of landmass, the Earth is not getting any bigger. It's in fact getting smaller due to our actions towards the environment. Environmental pollution has taken center stage due to the harm it's causing, and not many people seem to care or are interested in doing something about it, and this has led to many places being less habitable. On the other hand, the world's resources are getting thinner and thinner, with oil being said to run out by the year 2052. Land prices across the globe are unreasonable due to the high demand for settlement. Jobs are not easy to come by. Job hunting has become a job itself. Corruption is on the rise as those in power are stuffing their coffers with public funds, all in the name of looking out for their families. And as time goes by, the more people are going into debt. And you might wonder, where do I fit in all these problems? I will get into that shortly. Modern man first showed up on Earth 200,000 years ago, and by 1850 we had reproduced so successfully such that the world's population stood at 1 billion people. That means it took 200,000 years for us to put the first 1 billion people on Earth, and the next 1 billion came in just a century. As of now, we add 1 billion people every 12 years, and it's estimated by the year 2050 the world's population will be at around 10 billion. It's estimated by the year 2100 the world's population will be dominated by Africa, with 36% of the world's population residing in the continent. Now, we have to stop or this will become our downfall. The world's population is growing at a rate of 1% a year. 1% may not sound like much, but if you factor in 1% of 7 billion, it's actually a very big number. It means that every day we add 220,000 people to the planet, which is unsustainable. This means that at some point, the world's population is going to have to stop growing. And the question is how? Events that will follow. As a human population, if we don't choose to address the problem, there are several challenges that are going to come about. So let's travel to 100 years into the future if this issue is not addressed. 1. Migration. There will be unprecedented levels of migration among people, and that will be escalated with people moving from their countries to search for better living conditions. High literacy level. A huge population does not automatically mean good infrastructure. Infrastructure comes about when a population mobilizes its resources to tackle the ongoing challenges. So we are likely to see more people not going to school in some parts of the world due to no money and no enough number of schools. A high crime rate. People not making ends meet, resulting in crime. 4. High mortality rates. A high mortality rate due to strenuous living conditions. 5. Destruction of natural habitats. We will likely end up exploring protected sites for minerals and clearing forests to create more room for settlement. 6. Pollution. The environment will suffer pollution as a result of many people inhabiting the earth. More minerals will be mined, more cars will be bought, more factories will be built, and global warming will be taken to another level. 7. Corruption. When resources are limited, there is going to be a booming black market for goods and services. Lawmakers alike are going to be lax in their jurisdiction. 8. Deplorable living conditions. Living conditions will not be as good because areas with few people will end up being densely populated. So what are the solutions? First, the world population should not stop growing because of famine, diseases, war, or stretching of resources, but rather because people choose to have smaller families, that is one-child families. Forcing people to have fewer children will not work. In fact, the first and most efficient way to stabilize world population will be through empowering women and to give everyone an education on birth control and clear all the misinformation. The good thing about a large population is it will create a young workforce that can drive economic growth, but that will only happen if there are enough jobs for them to fill. According to recent research, between 30 to 40 million jobs will need to be created in the next 30 years. Otherwise, the same young people will become easy recruitment for militant groups and human traffickers. The media normally shows us when a country population falls, there is economic doom because capitalism depends on more and more consumers. But contrary to that, the economy will not suffer less if there is no more oil, food, and water. North Americans tend to use 32 times the resources as someone from a developing country. Some people will argue that technology will save us, which is very possible, but that will be as far as it goes to being a short-term solution. Even if we get to the point where we are feeding and housing 15 billion people, what will their lives be like? With the rise in artificial intelligence threatening the future of some careers, what will happen to the workforce that may end up being rendered jobless? The population is going to have to stop growing at some point. Why not stop now? For everyone to have a good quality of life, the number of people has to go down. Only 80 years ago, the world population stood at 2 billion. When we talk about overpopulation, it is not taking rights away from people, but rather giving opportunities to women, children, and future generations. As of today, choose to be part of the solution. Rising inequality is still a concern, and the gap will only get wider if we choose not to have small families that we can give the best future ourselves. That concludes today's video. Hope you learned something, and if you got something to add about the topic, feel free to leave a like and a comment. If you liked the video, you can subscribe to my channel. Facts with Mr. Vin, and if possible, share widely. Until we meet again, have a good one.